Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. So we talked a lot about the Warriors last week, and clearly there's been a lot of views on that clip I made on the YouTube channel. And I talked to some friends who I played like EverQuest with back in the day, and they said, it's like, where'd you watch the Warriors? And I said, it's for free on YouTube, you know, with ads. And so because it's a YouTube cut, I don't know exactly what they cut out from the original. It's been a long time since I've seen the original. And so this friend said he went and watched it, and he says, you know what, I watched the Warriors again, and you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of those old EverQuest OG PvP servers. And it unlocked all these old memories of me sitting there. I went one time by myself solo playing a PvP server, and I think I got through like level 1 through 5 in Kanos just fine. But then at like level 5, I think it was, or maybe 10, but you had to get out of Kanos and you had to go to the into the, I forget what they called it, and they had the half elf starting zone at the other end of it. But as soon as you load out of the city of Kanos and into the world, there'd be like 3 guys sitting there ready to just jump you and like take your rusty longsword. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, there's. You don't have anything of value. Yeah, I don't have anything of value. You know, but they would do that. It was vicious. And so I remember I'd come back and I'd talk to this friend. I talked to him. He's like, yeah, I'm getting jacked up in there. When you want to come in and help me? And so he came in. He started a character on the PvP server, and you know, it was like the Warriors. You had to work your way up from street level and stuff like that. So I mean, it's like make a rep for yourself. You know, God help you if you're soloing. And one time it was the 2 of us, and there was 3 guys like waiting outside of Kanos, and we're coming out and we're fighting each other. We're doing our best, and then all of a sudden this level 30 comes in. Jack's the highest level in order down. We're sitting there trying to fight off we're fighting off the guys who had jumped us first. It's like, oh, okay, this guy's killing them. And then once they're dead, we're like, we're all beat up and everything. Okay, level 30. And this is right, it was vicious back in those early PvP days. And I was also thinking, like, in early WoW, their PvP was pretty crazy, you know, until too many people were whining about rogues. And then like so much stuff got nerfed in PvP, and then there's nobody in the PvP servers anymore. Anyway, it's kind of interesting because those original days, they were probably the best. You know, it was hard mode. It was EverQuest hard mode. So I thought that was a good memory. I figured I'd share with you. So welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. We're starting a little bit early today. I got things to do this afternoon, so hopefully we can get maybe a shorter show. I got things to do. It's important. So, yeah. I want to remind you that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. There you can become a patron for as little as $3 a month. You can also become an executive producer on the show if you like. There's other higher tiers if you like. And if you want to advertise, you can advertise as well. I would appreciate it very much if you went and became a patron over at patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. If you just want to send me cash through Cash App, use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. I would appreciate that as well. Follow me on social media at Denalitsaw. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards, kind of like the T.S. Eliot poem. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and SL Robbins 13 on Instagram. It's amazing. It's like 2 or 3 times a day I get some hot chick interested in my videos and stuff, my posts on Instagram. You know, I must be like a really, really attractive human being, like guy, like all these hot chicks that like are models, and they have like OnlyFans accounts. They want me to be their friend. I think that's very nice. It's hard to DM them. I think maybe English might be a second language for them. But stuff I do at 12:30 at night. I'm kidding. Don't respond to those people. Holy cow. And what's funny is I think it's because on screen that SL Robbins 13 is the most visible at all times on the show. That's where their algorithms pick it up. They scan everyone's YouTube channel, pick out stuff they're putting on their screen like this and this. Anyway. I haven't wrote a book about it, but maybe I'll write a book about it one day. But if you want to find the books that I have written, you can find them over at Amazon.com for digital download. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. I got the Exit 13 series, The Bunny Years, a memoir, and The Ravings of a Madman. I was like, what was the last one? It's like, what do I do every day? Oh, I rave like a madman. I hope you had a happy Valentine's Day. I didn't. Because I'm single, been single for over a decade now. And yeah, it's easy to say, oh, woe is me, and oh, I don't have a girlfriend, and I don't have a wife, I don't have any kids, and when I die, and no one's going to remember me, that kind of thing. Why do you think I do this? So, I mean, I want somebody to deep fake me, and I could live on forever. That's duh. I knew what was coming. That's something to strive for. The only other thing I want to do in my life is be the first person buried not on Earth. Be like the first person buried on the moon. Anyway, but I was thinking is like there's so much pressure off of me because I don't have a girlfriend. It's like I don't have to worry about getting a gift. I don't have to plan a special day. It's just another normal day for me, and so yeah. Except it's hard to get a table at a restaurant. So it's just one day you eat in. It's like I'll just go stay at home, grill some burgers on my own because it's warm enough. It's like 60 something today. It's pretty nice the last couple days. So I hope you had a happy Valentine's Day because I didn't. All right. I want to talk about this video that got banned this weekend. I had one of my videos that had been deleted from YouTube. It was from 02 October 2018. So let me put it this way. It took them almost 5 years to find something offensive about this video. I don't know if it's a testament so much to how offensive the video is. I think it's more of a testament is like how lazy people are, about, like really checking for offensive content, because I really don't think that it's offensive content. All right. The video was titled, Ava, Get Back in the Car. All right. And it was about EK and I, almost 5 years ago, having a conversation about a certain German leader in the early 20th century and his girlfriend, Ava, who are having an argument as people in relationships are wont to do, And so it's just EK and I joking about a very awful man and the woman who should never have had sex with him. It just these very awful people, but in a real life situation that must have happened at some point. All right. The problem is that back in those days on the YouTube channel, I wasn't streaming live like I am right now. We didn't have video back then. And so usually it was just from my podcasts. And so I would take the podcast, I would clip the audio, and then I'd just put a bunch of pictures up to like stuff we're talking about. I also had a bunch of stills of us and like different studio things sitting in front of mics and all that I would use, just some visual entertainment to go with the hilarious audio that I had clipped. But because of the subject matter we're talking about, there's tons of pictures I downloaded and used in the video of this certain leader from Germany in the early 20th century. And some people are saying, maybe you should contest it, but I don't really want to. It's not like that video was making me any money or anything like that. It's not like I think it's so good that it should remain on my channel. Plus it's old content. It's old content, and if the pictures, but if the pictures are enough to offend you, then maybe you shouldn't be on the internet. Because there's far more offensive things on the internet than just that. And so that's what bothers me about all this is because, this is from almost 5 years ago. It's probably some recent subscriber or something like that, or somebody going through my videos, or somebody who was offended at one of my videos, unsubscribed, and then started going through my videos and find something offensive and then reported it. That's probably what happened. So, it doesn't really matter to me. Because if YouTube took down my Nightwing's butt video, wouldn't break my heart. That one has like something like 3,000, 4,000 views on it, and I'm not making money on that either. So why would I care? I can always continue making more content until they deep fake me, and then I could just sit back and collect checks. Anyway, on an unrelated note, I was able to watch the movie Apt Pupil on YouTube for free this month. Did you know that? Have you ever seen that movie, Apt Pupil, with the late, what's his name, Brad Renfro, and Sir Ian McKellen himself as an old German SS guy? How dare they? How dare they put that movie up? It's so offensive. They should take that video down. And I'll be honest with you, our video about Ava get back into the car is much more entertaining than that movie Apt Pupil, because it's about two crazy people messing with each other. Okay? So don't get high and mighty on me, YouTube. You have Apt Pupil for free on movies. And, you know, and I remember that one enough to know what you cut out. Anyway. Ba-boom, ba-boom, mow, mow. My heart. Hey, do you know who Elvira is? Yeah. I know who Elvira is. And if you're a heterosexual man over 30, even a lesbian over 30, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Elvira. Her real name is Cassandra, Peterson? No relation to the Canadian doctor. Cassandra Peterson. And, you know, she's the original goth girl, isn't she? Maybe, like, you can argue, like, the Bride of Frankenstein or something like that is the original goth girl. But, you know, Elvira is the original goth girl. Now, I'm going to talk frankly about Elvira, a.k.a. Cassandra Peterson. She has two amazing assets. And I don't even need to explain to you what they are. They're so obvious. And it is clearly her confidence and her sense of humor. And that's what's so special about Elvira. I mean, she started off hosting B-movie nights. All right. And basically what she was doing is the same thing as Mystery Science Theater 3000. All right. You get some crappy B-movie and you do little clips in between the movie when commercial breaks, and a little clip coming back to Elvira, and she makes some, you know, you get to see her low cut V-neck all the way down to her navel. All right. And she makes some goofy joke, and then you're back into the B movie again. All right. Fantastic. That's fantastic entertainment. All right. And it doesn't, you know, she had the confidence to go out there with all that makeup and all that stuff on. And because of the outfit she's wearing, you know, she's all like taped up. All her boobs are all taped up and everything. Like, she's got to be incredibly uncomfortable filming that stuff, you know, because you can't have anything sliding out, you know, on public television, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you have to have incredible confidence in yourself to be able to do that. Additionally, you have to have some sort of sense of humor. A sense of humor to the point where it's like, oh, I know you're not looking at that right now. You know, she'll frequently make that joke. She'll say something like talking about something on screen, but I know that's not what you're looking at right now. It was never like, I'm up here. Look at me up here. It wasn't like that. It was like, I know what I got. I'm showing it off, and I can be funny about it. And believe me, there's nothing sexier than a woman with confidence and a sense of humor. And, you know, what brought all this on is I watched a movie, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark movie, and she is a complete goofball. And in many ways, I think that's why she can't get beyond B tier, is because it's a little too goofy in many ways. But at the same time, she's doing this. The whole goth girl look is an antithesis to it. It's like, why is this girl who looks like she worships Satan, you know, have, you know, so funny, you know, or trying to make dumb jokes all the time? It's like, because that is humor. Humor is incongruity in your mind. It's like, you know, so I think that, you know, it's important for all women to understand, is like, every woman has assets, you know. Elvira learned how to use hers. And if you look at her, like, in her, without makeup, without that whole character on her face, she's an incredibly beautiful woman, arguably more beautiful than she is as Elvira. And so I think you got to understand, it's like, you got to make what you got work for you. Have the confidence to know, it's like, I have nice eyes, I have nice hair, you know, it's like, I have nice hands, you know, accentuate those features and get a sense of humor. Someone compliments you, but don't be rude. You know, be like Elvira. Crack a joke about what a perv they are. Because that was her thing. You know, it's like, I'm wearing this, but you're the perv. You know, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. It's the game. It's all a game. Don't you understand it? And if you're not playing it like a game, You know, if your purpose is you think that you can win this game, you're sorely mistaken. Nobody wins this game. Elvira may have won it more than I have, but that's okay with me. Because my heart's on fire. Elvira. All right. I don't know if the Oak Ridge Boys have anything to do with that. But all day long, that song's been in my head because I know what I was talking about today. All right. Like I said, it might be a short show today. The hunt for a barbershop. So, my barbershop recently closed. And so last time I got a haircut, I've been thinking about like how to talk about this as safely as possible. So I kind of been on a hunt for a barbershop. And so, I went to this one place to give it a shot. And as soon as I walk in, both of them are wearing masks. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, do you guys take walk-ins? And it's like, hold on. And this lady checks her phone with her mask on. And she's like, yeah, I could take you. I was like, okay. And she's like, but usually we do appointments. And I was like, okay, well, thank you. And so I'm sitting in there waiting for her to finish up with the other customer. And there's a TV on. And then on the TV is a television movie. It's twins. It's that Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where they're twins. And, you know, the people in the barbershop are, you know, having conversations about this movie and blah, blah, blah. It's like Danny DeVito, Schwarzenegger, and blah, blah. And it's like, and the lady barber who ended up cutting my hair, she's like, I think he's married to Rhea Perlman. And I was like, no, I think they got divorced. They have kids together, but I think they're divorced. And she's like, oh, how do you know about that? And it's like, well, you know, I read and I can remember. And, how do we get to it? And somehow I started talking. It's like, oh, he didn't. That's how it was. I did an interview. I saw an interview. I did an interview with Danny DeVito. I saw an interview with Danny DeVito, and this is when he was doing the Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he mentioned that he was not with Rhea Perlman anymore, but they have kids together. And they were like, what's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? And I was like, what? You don't even know what Always Sunny in Philadelphia is? You know, and before I got the haircut, they made me fill out this questionnaire. You know, have you had COVID in the last 72 hours? Have you lived with anyone who's had COVID? And, you know, I answered the questions. I got my haircut, and I'm never going back there again. All right. And just, it frustrates me. It's like, even, I mean, we're just talking about like a month ago. Yeah. 6 weeks, I think. But, you know, this COVID thing's been, it's over. It's been over a long time. And they're still wearing masks. They're still asking me these questions. You know, it screams Democrat at me. You know, I'm probably right. But I mean, I'm really sick of all this. And I miss how my old barbershop was a bunch of ex-vets, you know, who ended up, you know, they were shaving each other's hair in Iraq and stuff like that. And they picked up some skills. You know, and that's what I want to do. I want to come in there. I want to get my head shaved like a man and have conversations about Elvira's greatest assets. You know, and if I say Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they all know exactly what I'm talking about because they're the kind of people who could take raunchy humor. The kind of people who use raunchy humor. I don't want to go into some sterile place that looks like a Denny's or a Waffle House. I think it's all the tile and hair on the floor that makes me bring the comparison. But I mean, it's a service. You know, I shouldn't have to make appointments. I shouldn't have to fill out a questionnaire. You know, you're a service. And if I come into a Denny's or a Waffle House, I'm saying, when can I make an appointment for a table? No, they're ready to take you in right now to take your money. Absolutely. See, this is how businesses work. This is how they have worked forever. That's why I think this false pandemic was trying to get lazy people, give them a what they want. I don't feel like working today. I'm not going to take this walk-in. Sorry. Not going to take this walk-in. I don't feel like making money today. Anyway. So the hunt continues. I'll let you know. If you have any ideas for a good barbershop in the Fredericksburg area, Leave me a comment down there. Tell me about your favorite barbershop, because I need a new one. I'll keep you updated. Keep you updated on the progress. I got one more thing I want to talk about before I get into the news. And it might seem weird to some people, but the title of it is Cigarettes and Drums Setting the Tempo. Now, it's easy to understand why drums set the tempo. All right? Drums are obvious. You know, drums will come in, it's like, you know, frequently you hear them like coming in like at the beginning or like as the swell starts, you know. And the tempo is like, or you can even like hear at the beginning of a song, somebody tapping on the stairs, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. You know, the tempo sets the rhythm of all music. And that's wonderful. And that's wonderful. And even in those recordings where some vocalist comes in a cappella before the percussion, she's got the drum track already playing in her ear, you know what I mean? So I mean, so the tempo is very important. And I think regulating the rhythms of your life is also important, you know, because we are musical creatures. You know, our hearts beat in rhythm. There's a constant, we may not even recognize it, but there's a constant rhythm in our body. And that's why so many of us sing in the shower. You know, it could even, I even have a theory that your natural heart rate, your resting heart rate, you like songs in that tempo or multiples of that tempo. All right. Because it seems like, oh, this grooves right along with me. You know, it's a theory. Don't quote me on that. But, you know, there is a tempo to life. And I think cigarettes, or any tobacco product, really, they also set the tempo. But cigarettes, cigars, and pipes, and so forth, I think, they set the tempo because at some point you need a rest. You know, you need a little guitar solo, a cappella breakdown, so the drummer just sits, you know, can sit on his hands for a second, rest his arms. You know, and I think that's what cigarette breaks are for. You know, to slow your tempo, slow the rhythms down. You know, and because if you're working, and if you work in a frantic place, and most of us do, I think, you know, most everywhere I've worked, you know, there's been some frenetic people. Is that the right word? Frenetic. There's been frenzied people, and their energy is catching. It's contagious, you know. And so, you know, if you got some guys that they're, hey, you know, we need this yesterday. It's like, oh. All of a sudden, that energy transfers to you. And you're making the calls, like, oh, I got to get a hold of this guy. You know, oh, I got to make some notes here. Oh, I got to send an email to this guy. Oh, I got to call this guy again. It's like, okay, he's not answering. I'll leave him a message. Yeah, can you call me back? I'm really panicked here, and you need to be panicked too. And you hang up the phone, you're like, I need a cigarette break while I'm waiting for this guy to call me back. Yes, you should, even if you don't smoke. Even if you don't smoke, all right? You non-smokers out there is like, well, how come the smokers get more breaks? You can go outside, spend 5 minutes getting some fresh air, calming your heart rate down, meditate a little bit, whatever you do to relax, all right? Some guys want to go out I want to spend 5 minutes slapping myself in the face in the car and then crying. 3 minutes of slapping myself in the face, 2 minutes of crying, back to work. You need to set the paces and goals for yourself, because living at that pace will kill you. That's why, I mean, well, it's the food that we eat. People are, you know, they don't exercise enough. But a big part of it is also the stress you're putting on your already stressed system if you don't take the time to regulate the rhythms of your life. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe I just like smoking and I'm never going to quit. Anyway. Or maybe it's like the doctor says, like, all bleeding eventually stops. It's like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, every smoker eventually quits. So bear that in mind. In the meantime, we got to get through the bad news. Sorry, it's time for the news worth knowing. Awful, awful, awful news this week. Not looking forward to it. But we got to talk about it. It's the news worth knowing. So we're talking about East Palestine. You know, there's been some debate about what it's actually called. But I think a bunch of Palestinians came and founded the town. Why not? you know. But I mean, East Palestine, let's call it Palestine so people don't get it confused. And, So East Palestine, Ohio. I'm going to try to get through this straight face, try not to make jokes because this is very serious. So East Palestine, Ohio residents uneasy about the toxic chemicals after returning home. Quote, it's scary stuff here. Video journalist Nick Sodor and East Palestine, Ohio residents Nathan Izadek, is that your real name? Be serious. And his wife Kelly spoke out about the Biden administration's response to the toxic chemical spill in the state after a Norfolk Southern train derailed in early February. East Palestine Fire Chief Keith Drabick said on February 7th that the air and water testing showed it was safe for residents to return home. However, some of those who have done so have reported sick and dying animals in the area. Nathan Zadok and his wife are very concerned about the effects of the chemical release. We are seeing them locally and inside of our bodies. What we're experiencing, local fish in our creeks have died, oily sheens and coloration in our water, the constant smell of burning plastics and chemicals in the air, issues with our dog, vomiting, acting lethargic. It's scary stuff here, he said on Tuesday on Tucker Carlson. His exotic, added that he and his family have returned home to live roughly 2 miles from where the incident happened. Excuse me. Although officials have said that it's safe for residents to return, he said his family still doesn't feel comfortable. As soon as we got to the Ohio line, we immediately smelled the chemicals yet again. Does the scent not pass state borders? Anyway, since then, I now have chemical burns, and a reaction rash on my face, and my throat is getting irritated again, and I'm feeling very uneasy, he explained. Yeah, I'd leave. If you're in that area, I would leave. Holy cow. Video journalist Nick Sotor told host Tucker Carlson the attitude on the ground in Ohio is one of annoyance and frustration with the Biden administration. He said he spoke with the residents who told him the Environmental Protection Agency hasn't talked with any of them despite living near the burn site. I spoke with a small business owner. Their business was right in front of where the explosion was. They can't get anything out of the EPA, Sotor said. The federal government came in for a few days, took over their entire business, and would not let them in. The EPA also, this is a quote, the EPA also wouldn't talk to them and wouldn't give them a plan, wouldn't tell them anything. And that's exactly how it's going for everybody that's in the town. So they don't know if they're going to be abandoned by the federal government, and they don't know if their town is going to be wiped off the map. It's really sad when you're talking to these people because they are terrified that this town that they grew up in, that they've lived in their entire lives, is going to be completely demolished by people having to leave, people scared to even come back into town, he continued. There's a myriad of people that do not believe the EPA's assessment that their town is okay to go back into. So they just haven't bothered. And that is a really scary to think that the federal government cannot be trusted enough to be able to tell us whether or not it's safe to go in an area like this. West Virginia American Water, a utility company that monitors the water quality along the Ohio River, said it was enhancing its water treatment process as a precaution, and that it was going to install a secondary intake in the Goyandote River. Forgive me, never even heard of that river. In case there's a need to switch to an alternative water source. Okay, I did hear that they have an alternate water source, but I'll get to that. The EPA's Great Lakes region tweeted on Tuesday that it screened 396 homes and no detections of vinyl chloride or hydrogen chloride were identified, with 64 additional homes are left to screen. At this time, our air monitoring has not detected any levels of a health concern that could be attributed to the incident, EPA Great Lakes wrote. Oh, my God. You know, the Ohio River feeds into the Mississippi, all right? And that area, like where the Ohio River feeds into the Mississippi, is like some of the greatest farmlands in this country, all right? Lots and lots of farmland at this convergence. What do they call it? A confluence. You know, this could have effects on crops. This could have effects on our food supply. This could have effects on people like from storms. Like if storm clouds come over the mountains towards us, we could get like acid rain, hydrochloric acid rain here in Fredericksburg. All right? Or it could go further west, you know, into like Kentucky, Illinois. Geography's failing me. Is it Illinois is next to the west? I don't know. But the point is that, then all the way down the Mississippi, you could have, chemicals all the way down the Mississippi going all the way down to New Orleans. This is not good. This is not good. And Pete Buttigieg, he's clearly been sleeping on the job. Clearly been sleeping on the job. I understand if you got your job just for the simple fact that you're gay, or you tick off some sort of box. But if you get that job, you better do it to the best of your ability, no matter what. Because I'm the citizen. I'm the person who's affected by your screw ups. So you need to start taking your jobs more seriously. How many people have been sleeping on the job to allow this to happen? The people at Norfolk Southern, the Department of Transportation, FEMA, EPA. Where's all these environmentalists that are crying, always crying about the environment? And it's like, look at this. Look at this. I'm a conservative. I don't think global warming is the problem you think it is, but this is a very serious, real problem that we can all see. And going back to Norfolk Southern, apparently from what I've heard or gleaned or assimilated through reading and hearing about these news stories, is that Norfolk Southern initiated this burn intentionally because of all this chemicals after a railroad derailment. All right. And speaking of railroad derailments, something like 1,000 of those plus happen a year. All right. And Pete Buttigieg, he needs to be the guy who's as soon as he gets to that job, he needs to be saying bring me the stats on how many derailments we have a year and other transportation problems, and see if there's a way we can get this number down. All right. Hazardous material incidents measure in the thousands in the United States. This kind of stuff happens every day. But Norfolk Southern appears to have made a decision based upon expedience in order to get the railroad moving again, and intentionally lit this fire of chemicals. And all these people who may be affected by this may have a class action lawsuit against Norfolk Southern and possibly even the U.S. government. So those of you who weren't red-pilled yet, this should red-pill you to the max. Because this is their government with their hands in their pants. That's all they're doing. They're over there in Washington playing with themselves. I have, what else can I say? So many failures had to happen for this to happen. Anyway, I should have just ended it after playing with yourselves. Yeah, well, I can always clip it later. All right, let's talk about this other craziness. So, Pentagon says that there have been no new objects reported in the last 48 hours. So I don't know if you've been keeping up with this. The U.S. government has not detected any more objects flying in U.S. airspace within the past 48 hours, the Pentagon said on Wednesday. Speaking at a press conference, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin told reporters that he was not aware of any other unidentified flying objects reported in American skies over the past 2 days. Military fighter jets have shot down at least 4 unidentified flying objects in American skies in the past 8 days, calling renewed attention to China's broad surveillance operations around the globe. Efforts are underway to recover debris from the downed objects, and the Pentagon chief said it's absolutely important that they can be identified. We're going to do everything we can to recover debris if it's possible. That will help us learn a lot more about what these objects are, Austin said. Thank you, Captain Obvious. He added that the Pentagon is working with NASA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the FBI, and everybody in the community who may have an interest in operating in this space. So even if you're just interested, can I be a part of the investigation? Can I get an FBI badge? He went on to say, I would tell you that for the safety and security of the American people, that's the thing. That's the most important to me and everybody on the DoD team and throughout the agency, Austin said. So we're going to continue to drill until we learn as much as we can about what these objects are and why they are operating in those spaces. China's spy flight program has earned renewed focus after the Pentagon announced a Chinese surveillance balloon was detected entering U.S. airspace over Alaska on February 2nd. Senior U.S. and military national security officials confirmed the balloon was tied to a major surveillance program operated out of China's Henan Island province by the People's Liberation Army. The balloon shot down by the F-22 fighter jets off the coast of South Carolina on February 4th. After traveling across the country, more objects were being shot down on February 10th, 11th, and 12th. But the Pentagon has not confirmed that they belong to the China spy programs. Chinese spy balloons have been spotted for years over multiple parts of the world, including Latin America and the Middle East. While authorities do not yet know what the downed objects were, Austin has said that they are no threat. Oh, right. Okay, they're no threat. So I think it's obvious what happened here. All right. And if you can't put this together yourself, you're probably not even watching the show. You probably haven't even got this far. You're probably like, what's Elvira? What's the Oak Ridge Boys? What happened was this first balloon was detected over Alaska. All right. And so the U.S. government didn't do anything. Then it came over Montana, and the U.S. didn't do anything. And at that moment, probably China, Russia, all of our enemies, all of them, started sending balloons. All right? And they were like, oh, damn, they let it fly over the entire country. So they started sending balloons like crazy. It's either a copycat or more of China. It's like, you showed them, it's like, yeah, that's no problem. We don't mind. So they're like, oh, you don't mind? Well, let's send a whole bunch more. So now the danger is like, at first they were too, pensive to shoot. Now they're shooting at everything. What is that? Shoot at it. You can't do that either. All right. And so this whole idea is like, Matt Walsh been cracking me up lately because he keeps us like, this alien invasion. The aliens are coming. Please let it be this. The aliens are coming. And it's so ridiculous. If the aliens did come here, I really don't know why they'd want to talk to us. I really don't know. But even like what's her name? Karine Jean-Pierre, at the press conference saying it's like there's no real UFOs and stuff like that, people laughing and stuff like that. How can you if when she says something like that, I'm starting to think that there are UFOs, because she lies all the time. It's like, I can't believe a word that comes out of her mouth. So, I mean, it's probably not UFOs. It's not UFOs in the sense that you think it's UFOs, they're just balloons. They're probably Russian or Iranian or Chinese, more Chinese. And the reason why they're not saying is like, if we know that there's more Chinese balloons, is because they're giving China an out. So, we don't want to escalate this thing over, a couple of party balloons floating over our nation. But we're showing them like we're not going to tolerate it. But that's the problem with letting that first one through. You said, oh, it's okay. It's kind of like a, what do you call it? Like a southern border or something like that. Once one or two get through, it's like, oh, the hole just tends to get bigger in the fence. You know what I mean? Until you get to the point where you're like, oh, screw it, let them in. And which is exactly what's happening on our southern border. So many people sleeping on the job from the top on down. These people in Washington, it's like, I wouldn't care, so much if Biden had done the right thing. I wouldn't care so much about Pete Buttigieg if he was actually doing his job. Instead, he's taking paternity leave. Because, it takes a lot out of a man to breastfeed his kids. Anyway, let's go on to this next story talking more about China and their bull nonsense. So China threatens countermeasures against the U.S. entities after spycraft shoot down. The cojones on these people. The People's Republic of China threatened Wednesday to take action against U.S. agencies responsible for destroying and recovering one of its surveillance balloons. Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesman Wang Wenbin made the vague threat during a press conference. China firmly opposes this and will take countermeasures in accordance with law and against the relevant U.S. entities that undermine China's sovereignty and security, said Wang. It's funny when China talks about law. It's hilarious. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been highly critical of the U.S. government's handling of the situation in recent weeks, accusing U.S. government officials for making a spectacle out of a delicate situation. Okay. Wang did not elaborate on what his proposed countermeasures might be, but the spokesman promised that the communist nation will be resolutely safeguard national sovereignty and its legitimate rights and interests. legitimate rights and interests. You know, that's what you know what he's talking about, right? Taiwan. The surveillance balloon shot down by the U.S. government on February 4th over the waters off of the coast of South Carolina has been a daily topic of discussion for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We do need to point out, however, that the U.S.'s downing of an unmanned airship with advanced missiles is a trigger-happy overreaction. Wang said at a press conference on Monday. Many of the U.S. have been asking, what good can such costly action possibly bring to the U.S. and its taxpayers? There's some sort of error there. You know, I think they're just saying that the missile that took down the balloon cost like 3 times as much as the balloon, probably. So I think that's really their point. But my point is that, you know, you shouldn't be doing this stuff, China. And then, you know, you get caught doing it, and then you're like that guy who gets pulled over and stuff like that. You know, it's like he's got like you smell the alcohol, you know. He was weaving, and the cop pulls him over, and on the body cam it catches him. He's like, "No, you're the problem, man. You're the problem." Trying to flip the script. It's like say it, you know, it's like, I'm not the one who's wrong, you're the one who is wrong. And that's all that China's doing here. You know, they're treating us like we're children, basically. And the reason why they're doing that is because we got this guy in the White House, you know, who allowed this balloon to travel across the entire United States with impunity. And it's like, is it done? It's done. Okay, now go shoot it down. And it just emboldened our enemies, and now they're sitting there saying, it's like, you guys are wrong for shooting down our spy balloon. Blow it out your ass, China. You don't want to wake up this sleeping giant. You don't want us to wake up again. That's what boggles my mind about these countries. You really want us to like start flipping on switches in all of our equipment? Why don't you just wait? These socialists are trying to end our country as it is. Anyway, let's talk about something a little bit. We'll start ramping up towards like happier stuff. I'm tired of ranting. So, aviation milestone, artificial intelligence flew a modified F-16 fighter jet for over 17 hours. Bad idea. An artificial intelligence algorithm developed by DARPA's Air Combat Evolution program flew a modified F-16 fighter jet for over 17 hours in December, officials announced this week. The jet, a variable in-flight simulation test aircraft, VISTA, took off from Edwards Air Force Base in California, making it the first time the artificial intelligence has been used to fly tactical aircraft. We conducted multiple sorties, takeoffs, and landings, with numerous test pilots' test points performed on each sortie to test algorithms under varying starting conditions against various simulated adversaries and simulated weapons capabilities. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Hal Heffron, the DARPA program manager for ACE, said in a statement. We didn't run into any major issues, but did encounter some differences compared to simulation-based results, which can be expected when transitioning from virtual to live. Vista was developed by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and the Calspan Corporation for U.S. Air Force's Test Pilot School. The aircraft is a modified F-16D Block 30 Pierce Marble II aircraft, which began development in 2019 with the launch of ACE. So they developed this aircraft for this project. Interesting. Vista will allow us to parallelize the development and test of cutting-edge artificial intelligence techniques with new uncrewed vehicle designs, Dr. M. Christopher Cotting, Director of Research for the U.S. Air Force Test Pilot School, said on Monday. This is a bad idea, especially if you're thinking about putting weapons on this thing. What are you thinking? Haven't you been paying attention to what's going on with all this AI stuff? You know, so I saw an ad last night for that somebody made of Joe Rogan and some other guy, where they're doing an ad that they never did. Deep fakes, like I mentioned earlier. You know, then you got this Chat GPT stuff, and you have like these hackers hacking Chat GPT with just English, just the English language. You set a series of criteria, and you can hack Chat GPT. All right. And then when you're sitting there typing something into Chat GPT, sometimes if you ask it a challenging question, it's going to take a long time for reaction sometimes. You don't want that happen when you're talking about flying at Mach 1 with missiles. All right? Computers can't make these kind of quick assessments in terms of when it comes to life and death decisions. You should never, never allow these things to be automated. I think even drones should be piloted by a human. All right? Excuse me. I think, and even like if you have, like, for example, like space travel requires very exact movements in order, because you can miss the entire destination. Very precise movements. And I don't necessarily think an AI should be making those decisions. It should be a program, but not any kind of intelligence to do it. Bad idea all around. All right, 2 more stories and then we're out of here. Super Bowl hot mic catches Jason and Travis Kelce with their mother Donna on the field. I love you, Mama. This is just a heartwarming story. Hug your mama. So Donna Kelce, the mother of Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce and Philadelphia Eagles center Jason Kelce, knew Super Bowl, whatever Roman numeral that was going to be hard to watch, while she was cheering every time someone had the ball because they both played on offense. She knew one of her sons would come up short while the other celebrated victory. Thanks to some hot mics during the 38-35 win for the Chiefs at State Farm Stadium, we were able to hear how Donna reacted when she hit the turf with the red and yellow confetti falling from the rafters. As such, her younger son Travis was the first one she found. Mama, Travis yelled as he hugged his mother tight. I'm so happy for you, she said in his ear. Oh, I love you, Mom, Travis responded. How about this? You've had the week of your life, I've had the year of my life. Then it was time to find Jason, who already embraced his brother despite losing to him in the game. The interaction was nothing but sportsmanship and brotherly love as they both said how proud they were of each other. I love you. Good job. It was fun watching you all week, Donna said while choked up. You could tell Jason was also getting a bit choked up, and as he kissed his mother on the cheek. Go celebrate with Trav, Jason Kelce said as he walked away. The emotions were running high all week for Donna, who had been involved since the opening last Monday night. Opening night last Monday. She surprised her sons while they took questions. It wasn't the first time she had a microphone in front of her. Being the first mother of 2 sons to play in the same Super Bowls made her a hot topic. Like Travis said, it's been quite a week for his mother, but now it's all over, and these moments will never be forgotten for the Kelces. So it's just a very sweet story about how, you don't need to riot Philly, you know what I mean? It's all just a friendly game. You got brothers on other, opposing sides, and they're, taking it in stride. One has to win, one has to lose. That's the nature of life. It's the nature of it all. All right. I wonder if I don't know if I can get EK to pull up this video because you probably have to hunt it down. I want to end here. It's not that interesting, but it is amazing. It's a Kazakhstanian Spider-Man. So Good Samaritan in Kazakhstan climbs out window to save child dangling from a building. A man in Kazakhstan was praised for his heroism after a video resurfaced from last year that showed him climbing out of a multi-story building's window and rescuing a child who was dangling from a glass panel. The daring rescue reportedly happened on the outside of a building in Kazakhstan in May of last year. Bystanders recorded video purportedly showing the child clinging to an open glass window after having apparently climbed out of the building. The child appeared to be 8 floors above ground. Whew. A man can be seen climbing out of the window below the child and perching on the glass panel without any rope or safety harness. Then he grabs the child's leg and pulls him into his arms before passing the child to someone inside the building. It was unclear on whether anyone was injured during the incident. Kazakhstan is a former Soviet republic and shares a border with both Russia and China. And it's pretty amazing because it's very precarious. The window is kind of just pushed out from the bottom, only like, I don't know, maybe like 2 feet. And it's hinged at the top. And so the guy has to climb out onto the propped out window, reaches up and grabs the kid who's dangling there by the foot, swings him down into his arms, passes him to the person who's probably holding on to his leg, it looks like. Because it looks like he has one leg on the windowsill and one leg inside. It's like, hold on to this. It's funny because this human aspect of us, of humanity, this aspect of humanity, I should say. It's universal, you know. It doesn't matter who you are. You see a child dangling from a window. There's a certain percentage of us that would say, it's like, I'm going to risk my life to save this child. Because, I don't know, it's just instinctual, or is it just the right thing to do, is inherent in all of us? I prefer the latter. I think that, you know, it's the right thing to do, is inherent to all of us. And going along with the crowd and stuff like that, that isn't who we are. Who we are is when you don't think anyone is watching. You know, some baby's in trouble, your instinct is to help them. Anyway, it's just beautiful, happier stories right here at the end, and which is where we are at the end. So I'll remind you again to go over to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, become a patron. I'd appreciate that very much. I also have a Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. On the Cash App, follow me on social media at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I also have books available for digital download on Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 B's, 2 T's, and 2 B's. Search for the Exit 13 books. There's a series of short stories I've written. The Bunny Years, a memoir, and the ravings of a madman. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the madman, and I love you.